Hey everyone, welcome. Already considered to be the bike of 2025, what I have behind me is the new Stumpjumper 15, the latest release from Specialized. Right behind it, I have the old Stumpy. And whether you care about this new bike release or not, the reality is it introduces quite a few things, maybe a couple of trends. So let's talk about it. And it's called Stumpjumper 15 because, as the name implies, this is the 15th model of this iconic trail bike introduced in 1981 by Specialized as their first mountain bike. Specialized is celebrating 50 years of existence in 2024, so they introduced this as a 2025 bike. What I have here is the Expert model, one up from the comp, and I got this from my friends at Bike Zone in Mississauga. If you are in need of a new bike, make sure you check them out. Bike has been completely redesigned for 2025, and I said that it might introduce a couple of new trends. Number one being that this bike uses Fox suspension with a complete SRAM drivetrain, something that is not that usual. And two, this bike has been designed only to use wireless transmissions, SRAM transmissions. But what I wonder is whether they know something about the upcoming Shimano wireless transmissions. I mean, why would Specialized put all their eggs into the SRAM basket with this iconic bike unless they know something about an upcoming Shimano wireless drivetrain that might work on that same UDH dropout? What do you guys think? Are we starting a rumor here or what? I mean, they kept the cable routing for the dropper, and look at that, that is for the rear brake, but they've eliminated that extra port that was sitting right up there above the brake hose. But at least they didn't route the cables through the headset, so I guess we should be thankful for that. And I did mention that the frame was redesigned, and you can see that side arm that disappeared from the old Stumpy. Apparently they've used that extra material just to stiffen up the frame overall. And they also make room for that newly introduced Genie rear shock made by Fox. That's a patent pending design from Specialized that uses two positive chambers on that shock. Now, that design is not actually revolutionary. The Italian guys from EXT have the Aria shock that already does that. And the Genie in the bottle that they're supposed to provide us is three things. Number one being very plush off the top, the first about 70% of the movement of that shock. After which the Genie band is gonna block some orifice in the shock, so you get a really quick ramp up at the end of the travel, so you can prevent those harsh bottom outs. And also what they promise is high tunability. Actually, in the box, you're getting this Fox. It's called the tuning kit for that rear shock. Look at all those extra spacers for the positive, the negative chamber. Now, they didn't touch the actual damper of a Fox float, so that's identical with the production shocks. But what's patent pending is the actual air spring on that shock. It has two positions, open, and they call it firm. And the beauty of this is that it's a standard size, 210 by 55, meaning that if you have your preferred shock you want to install in that frame, you can do so. Specialized actually offers that same bike with the Collins coil shock. A lot of people love the outgoing Evo. That bike provided us with 150 millimeters of travel in the back. This bike only gives us 145, but that's kind of in the middle of the 130 provided by the old Stumpy and the 150 of the Evo. As for forks, this bike works with 150 or 160 forks. But if you pay attention to their lineup, you're gonna see that they recommend the mullet setups for a lot of their configurations. In the past, we only had 29ers with the old Stumpy. Now we have mullet setup for the smaller sizes. Then we have 29er with the ability to turn them into a mullet with a different rocker. And I mentioned that Evo is gone from their lineup. They say it's because they've implemented the more aggressive geometry on this new frame. Also, the ability to change that head angle using just a cup is provided with this bike installed at the top of your headset. That can give you plus or minus 1 degree. So you have a 0 degree spacer installed in there, plus or minus provided. Then you have a high and low position of this horse link pivot in the rear triangle, and that's what gives this platform a lot of flexibility in choosing the wheel size, also bottom bracket height, and also head angle options from 63 degrees, pretty much downhill territory, to about 65.5, about 77 for the seat tube angle. No more flip chip installed here at the back of the shock. And by the way, this area has been completely redesigned. And also you don't have that flex stay anymore. You still have a full carbon frame designed in California, made in Taiwan. You have the S-Works version that has all this linkage made out of carbon. You still have the integrated SWAT, but because of the bigger tubes, this is supposed to be bigger. Also, this gives you SWAT 4.0. Just like in the past, you have room for a big bottle in here, and you have the mini tool attached to the bottom of this. Look at that. That's the tube in tube. Again, one more time, why don't we have an extra tube in there for the rear derailleur? Like, come on, guys. That little waterproof baggie is also provided with the bike. It doesn't come installed. Obviously, that's gonna go in there. As in the past, nice big chainstay protection, and an add-on that I love. Look at this, you have that little rubber flap and this plastic protection on the rear of the bike. And this prevents rocks and debris from damaging your frame, which is not covered by warranty. Remember that, guys. If you don't like the T-type integrated bash guards, you have the mounts for any chain guard or bash guard that you might want. You can see that threaded bottom bracket, and here's again that big rubbery protection from the down tube and the film that's installed right in here. The old derailleur port came down at the bottom. On this new frame, you can see that it's gone, so only wireless transmissions on this new frame. And one more opportunity for the rumor mill here. If you look at the minimal rotor size, you're gonna notice that S1 and S2, the smaller sizes, only allow you 180, which is pretty much what we had for the old Stumpy. But from S3 and up, the minimum rotor size is 200 millimeters. Does that mean that they make room in their lineup for another bike, one that fits between the Epic 8 130, 120 trail bike and this one that replaces the Evo, the Enduro type of bike? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Not to mention the Maven brakes. I mean, the 4-piston latest generation from SRAM. Those brakes are massive, guys. I'm gonna just do a separate video about those. But are we expecting to see another bike in their lineup between Epic and the Stumpjumper? What do you guys think? These are Maven bronze brakes that have that reservoir right along your handlebar. As for the feel, this feels pretty good in the hand, very similar to that Shimano 4-piston that you saw on the old Stumpy. For this expert version of the bike, we are getting a bridge saddle from Specialized. You get a 200 millimeter. This is a PMW dropper, which is really nice, and you can see their remote here as well. Surprisingly, you don't get the Specialized grips, you get the Deity. These are half waffle, so they're pretty nice. And you can see that new pod for the GX transmission. I'll give you a bit more about that later. This is an 800 millimeter bar, 35 millimeter stem, and you have an FSA headset installed on this tapered head tube of the bike. This expert model comes fully equipped with the GX transmission, so that means crankset, chain, cassette, 1052 tooth cassette, and obviously the GX derailleur. But if you ever wonder how these companies work, just launched at Eurobike is that SX S1000 T-type transmission that only includes a crankset, a derailleur, and a new cassette, a 1052 cassette using the HG driver free hub. Well, guess what? On the 7500 version of this, the comp available in Canada, that's exactly what you're gonna get. That brings me to the wheels, and in the box you have the valves for tubeless setup. I have tubes in the tires right now, and I also have this hand-built inspection or wheel inspection. It says Traverse. Those are pretty much the rims that Specialized used to build these wheels. These are 30mm ID, 28 spokes, and as you can see here, they use 370 hubs from DT Swiss. As for tires, you have Butcher T7 up front. This is tubeless ready, and it's a 2.3. In the rear, we have the same Specialized, but it's gonna be Eliminator T7. Again, these are 2.3 tires, tubeless ready, and these are made in Taiwan, just like the bike itself. For those of you interested in the weight of this bike, this is an S4, so large equivalent. You can barely see that on the seat tube of the bike. No pedals, tubes in the tires, pretty much standard configuration, everything, and the weight is 14.8 kilograms, which comes up to 32.6 pounds. Again, that is standard expert model Stumpy 15. So I would expect that comp model to probably add about a kilo, so a couple pounds to it, and the highest, most expensive model to probably come up to about 30 pounds. Unfortunately, this is a showroom bike, so I can't really take it for a spin, but if you look at the reviews or early reviews of this bike, everybody talks about the comfort, playfulness, and the ability to customize it to pretty much any style of riding you might be doing. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think about a bike like this. Is this trend setting or not? Are we gonna see a Shimano wireless drivetrain coming out soon, one that would fit on that UDH dropout that this bike provides? Let me know in the comments below. Shout out again to BikeZone for giving me this bike right after being released, and let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you like this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and until next time, hope to see you folks on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers.